it's Amélie. Today we're going to talk about how to hold the flute. So first thing that is important to understand is that there are principles in how to hold your flute, but we're not made exactly the same, so you have to apply the principles to your own body so that you are comfortable playing the flute. So the first thing is that the flute is in 3 pieces. I say very obvious things sometimes, but I mean, because it's in 3 pieces, there is some adaptability there. You don't have to put it exactly as written in a book, or like some flutes have let's say 2 drawings, that you put in line with each other. And so most people will just go and make sure they're in line, but that doesn't mean that that is the best for you. So we'll talk about that. Same thing for the foot of the flute. So most books will say that you should put the rod here exactly in the middle of that key, but it all depends on your fingers. On, like, let's say my hand, my pinky is very short compared to my other fingers. So I bring the rod a little closer to my hand, a bit more inwards, like this, instead of like this, just a bit more like this for me. But some students of mine do it a bit more like that. So you really have to find your spot to be comfortable. So let's talk about the right hand. Okay, then we'll talk about the head joint and how to adjust it to your comfort. So try to put your hand like this and see if you're comfortable and find the point where you're comfortable. Also, you have to be able to slide your pinky. Remember, it's sliding, it's not lifting and then moving it there. You can totally slide it. So that's it for that. Then you have your thumb. So the thumb, in some books again, they say put the thumb under that little key here, between those 2 big keys, a small key here, under like this. The problem with that is that your flute will rock backwards because the rods here, they're very heavy. So if you put your flute like that and you try to keep it straight, it's always going to fall backwards. So if you put your thumb here, the flute always wants to rock backwards, like you see here. So the way I do it, take my thumb and I put it here behind with a 45-degree angle approximately, and I go forward with my thumb. I push forward. And with my left hand, I put it just under this key. I put this part here of my index finger under this key. And I go towards myself a little bit, and with my thumb of the right hand, I push forward, and then these things make a click. It stays together. Okay, so that's that first thing. If you're not comfortable, you can also use a thumb port. That's for the right hand. You place it here and you put your thumb underneath. And that's very helpful because now it's not rocking. Because if your flute is rocking and you're trying to hold it while you're playing, your technique won't be as good, your sound won't be as stable, everything will be affected by that. So holding the flute is so important. It affects how you sound, just sound-wise, and then also the speed at which you can play and all those things. And also pain, you don't want to have pain. So a thumb port can be a useful thing. I bought it for my students so that they could try it and see if they wanted one. And I ended up really liking it. And I use it very often now, almost all the time. But some of my students, they bought one. And then after a while, they said it helped them figure out where to put their thumb. But they removed it and they said they were very comfortable. And it was like part of their learning curve. And they learned where to put their thumb. They felt it better, and now they don't use it anymore, but it was still a useful tool in their learning. So we have the foot joint. You have to find your sweet spot. Now the right hand with the thumb, the left hand, the index is curved a little bit because it's under here. For your index too, you can find some things to put on your flute if you're not comfortable. There are little gels. There are also, I think it's called a bebop, and it kind of guides your finger. I have a student who has one because she has arthritis and she says it's useful. It helps her, so you can look around and see for those things. So that's it for the hands. Now, we talked about the rod before and the fact that because it's heavy, it rocks backwards. So you can adjust the head joint so that your hands are comfortable. So first thing first, the head joint itself, the hole here shouldn't be covered more than 1/4 to 1/3. So when you play, it's like this, and okay, that should not change. If you move here, it's your hands that will change, but the angle of your mouth with the head joint should always stay the same. So if you decide that you put your, so when I adjust my head joint, I look at the hole here on my head joint and I adjust it with the first key of my flute. That's the easiest way for me to do it. So you could decide to put it straight in line, and then your hands will be in a certain angle, okay? With the, because you have to keep this always the same. If you decide to bring it more inwards, then your hands will be a bit more forward, like this, okay? If you decide to put it more outwards, then your hands will be more inwards, okay? But then the rod might also be a problem because this has to stay stable. So if you want to counteract the rod's weight, you can bring your head joint a little forward, a little bit more inside, so that your hands are a bit more forward and that the rods are on the top a little bit more. That's also a possibility. But that is a quest that you have to go on and figure out what's comfortable with your hands, your arms, the way you are made, because the flute is a beautiful instrument. It's gorgeous. And I think also even the way that we play it on the side like that, it makes it even more dreamy in a way. Like it has something, there's something elegant about how we play the flute, not just in the sound, even in the posture and all that. But it is a rocky instrument. So we have to find a way that makes it as balanced as possible so that your fingers, you can hold your flute like this, and that none of the moving fingers, none of the fingers that are used to play are necessary to hold the flute. The flute is stable like that, so that when you play, this is stable here. It's not moving. It's not like easy to, if you're playing and someone comes and moves it, it won't move too much. It's stable here. You don't want to push too hard and hurt your jaw either, but just stable. And it's stable here so that it doesn't rock. Because if it rocks and the flute goes inwards, you'll lose your sound. Your sound will become small and or non-existent, okay? I see a lot of students, they play and then and it just goes inwards and they lose their sound. And then I have to tell them to push it back, you know? So find the spot that's comfortable so that it's stable here, it's stable in your fingers, and it's really worth putting the time and the effort because it's so well invested. Because once that is settled, you can work on your technique, you can work on your sound, but you'll have that stability that is really not that easy to find when we learn the flute. But when we get it, it's so much nicer to play. Another thing that's important to know is that when you play the flute, so once you have all these things, there's also the little head tilt. So if you play sitting down like I'm doing now, you can go a little bit on an angle here, tilt your head to the left, and then bring your flute to your head. Never bring your head to your flute. You don't want to do, I'll put myself in an angle so you see it. You don't want to go like this because you'll hurt your neck. And it's very, you keep your head there, you bring your flute, okay? So you're a little bit turned like that. You bring your flute. This way your hands are almost in front of your body, like this. instead of being like this, and this arm is stretched and this arm is stuck. So like this. If you're standing, it's the same principle. You go a bit like on an angle, you turn your head to the left. And this way everything is stable and you're comfortable to play. Remember to take some breaks, because even if you're comfortable, you need to take a break every 45 minutes or so and go and move, or even more often than that, because a position that's when you don't move, you know, it's tough for the body to stay like this with the head like that. So take breaks, go and move around, and that's how you'll get better at holding your flute, and then you'll sound better. I hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, please like it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and go and check our website musigi.com and also our Patreon. Thanks for watching.